Today, we're going to explore how land use controls impact property development. Essentially, these are the rules and regulations that guide how land can be used and developed in different areas. This includes zoning laws, planning processes, and the approval systems that developers must navigate. Together, these controls shape the growth and form of our built environments, influencing everything from the layout of neighborhoods to the types of buildings within them. Understanding these concepts helps us see how policy directly affects the places where we live and work. When we talk about land use controls, we're referring to the set of rules and policies that determine how land can be used, developed, or changed within a community. These controls essentially set the framework or guidelines for what can be built, where it can be located, and under what conditions this development can occur. By establishing these rules, communities can manage growth, protect natural resources, and ensure that development aligns with overall planning goals. So, land use controls are really the starting point for shaping the physical layout and character of our neighborhoods and cities. Here we have four key tools that play a crucial role in shaping what can be built, where it belongs, and how development progresses. First, zoning acts as a main rule book. It separates land uses into different districts and sets important parameters like density, building height, setbacks, and allowed activities. Next are comprehensive plans, which provide a long-term vision for growth. These plans guide decisions about housing, infrastructure, transportation, and future land use patterns to ensure the community develops in a thoughtful way. Then, building codes are in place to protect safety and functionality. They regulate everything from structural standards to fire protection, accessibility, and construction methods. Finally, environmental regulations are designed to limit harm to natural resources. They cover areas like wetlands, flood zones, pollution control, stormwater management, and habitat preservation. While these tools have different rules and focuses, they all work together toward the common goal of responsible and sustainable land development. Zoning is essentially the foundation of land use planning. It divides land into specific districts and establishes the basic rules regarding how that land can be used, including things like building height, density, setbacks, and overall building form. Think of it as the rule book that determines what goes where. One of the main functions of zoning is to separate compatible uses, ensuring that areas meant for residential living, commercial activities, or mixed-use developments coexist in a balanced and orderly way. This separation helps guide growth in a structured, efficient manner, preventing conflicts between different land uses. Zoning is crucial because it sets the framework for what a developer is allowed to build even before any design work starts. It essentially translates policy decisions into a physical pattern on the ground, shaping the look and function of our communities. Whether for residential neighborhoods, commercial centers, or mixed-use spaces, zoning is the key tool that organizes how these elements fit together. Here, we see a shared roadmap that guides us from understanding a place all the way through to driving meaningful change. This long-view framework is what we call comprehensive planning. It unfolds in three key steps. First, the assessment phase. This is where we study the land, look at community needs, growth patterns, and priorities. Essentially, we're asking, where are we now? It's about gathering the facts and understanding the current situation. Next is the strategy phase. Here, we set a clear vision, develop policies, and establish future land use directions. This step helps us determine where do we want to go by outlining goals and guiding principles for growth and development. Finally, the implementation phase is about making it happen. This means turning the plan into zoning rules, capital projects, and other approvals that bring the vision to life. We ask, how does this happen? By connecting decisions over time. Ultimately, comprehensive planning links vision to policy and then to action, ensuring thoughtful, coordinated progress for the community. Even the strongest projects can face significant hurdles that slow them down or even bring them to a halt. These challenges often come from factors beyond design, and it's important to recognize what can create delays. Regulatory delays are a major issue. Permits, reviews, and necessary revisions can stretch timelines far beyond what was originally planned. Then there's conflicting zoning, where existing rules might not align with the intended use, density, height, or layout of the site. Community opposition also plays a critical role. Concerns from neighbors about increased traffic, changes to neighborhood character, or affordability can lead to significant changes in the project proposal. Lastly, infrastructure limits can be a big roadblock. Roads, utilities, drainage systems, and transit access might not be adequate to support the scale of the development, which creates additional challenges. Ultimately, development risk often exists outside the site itself. It's not just about the design, but navigating through approvals, politics, and physical constraints that can push back even the best plans. Here we have a great example of urban infill development, where a small, underused parcel in a downtown area was transformed into a mixed-use housing project. While the site itself was small, the review process was extensive and complex. This narrow lot had to go through multiple steps: the rezoning process, parking relief requests, design review, and neighborhood hearings, all of which needed to align before the project could move forward. This kind of infill development is important because it makes use of existing infrastructure like transit and utilities, maximizing land already served without sprawling into new areas. However, it's rarely a simple process, especially on empty lots located in built-up blocks. The rules in place had to balance increasing density with fitting into the character of the neighborhood. Ultimately, this case shows how, with the right policies and approvals, more homes can be added within the same block, turning a vacant lot into an active, vibrant part of the community. It's a clear example of how careful planning and community engagement are crucial in creating successful urban infill projects. When we talk about property rights, we're referring to the owner's ability to use, sell, or improve their land. Owners can build value through development, transfer ownership, or lease the property, all while expecting legal protection for how they use it. However, these rights aren't absolute. Regulatory constraints like zoning laws, permits, and public standards come into play. These rules limit aspects like density, building height, and usage, and often require approvals before any construction can begin. This system aims to balance private plans with the broader community impact. The key point here is that rights are real, but not unlimited. Governments use regulations to protect safety, neighbors, and long-term planning goals. The real tension lies in finding a balance between private opportunity and public policy. Development succeeds when these two align, where private control meets public rules. Ultimately, it raises important questions about who decides what gets built and how property rights and regulations intersect. Land use controls don't typically stop a project from moving forward entirely, but they can significantly extend schedules, require multiple redesigns, and increase carrying costs. Let's break down where time and money tend to expand in this process. First, approval time is usually between 6 and 18 months before construction can even begin. During this period, rezoning, public hearings, and site plan reviews can push delivery timelines well beyond the original schedule. Next, the budget impact can increase by 10 to 25% due to these delays. Holding on to land longer, financing costs, consultant fees for multiple revisions, and the need for compliance upgrades all add up quickly. Then there's iteration pressure, where 3 or more rounds of revisions may be needed for final approval. Each review cycle can lead to changes in project density, parking requirements, setbacks, overall design, and even the overall feasibility of the project. The biggest takeaway here is that regulation affects not just what gets built, but also when it becomes a viable and successful development. Understanding these impacts is crucial for planning realistic timelines and budgets. Here, we focus on the idea of shaping growth to be less sprawling and more accessible. Good land policy plays a crucial role in reducing urban sprawl by supporting daily life and making development work better for both people and the environment. Planning for healthier places means promoting sustainable land use, which keeps growth efficient and livable over the long term. Green zoning is an important tool that encourages preserving open spaces, managing stormwater effectively, supporting energy-smart buildings, and reducing environmental impact overall. Mixed-use development brings housing, shops, and services closer together, which helps neighborhoods stay vibrant and walkable. Transit-oriented design concentrates growth near public transit, reducing reliance on cars, and making it easier for people to access jobs and amenities. The key takeaway is to grow smarter, not wider, ensuring communities develop in ways that benefit everyone and the planet. What really matters most in the developer's perspective is that feasibility hinges on clear, predictable, and timely rules. When rules are ambiguous or change unexpectedly, It creates uncertainty and risk, making it hard for developers to move forward confidently. Successful projects require a careful balance. Vision, approvals, financing, and timing must all align simultaneously. Even a single delay can change the entire deal, affecting costs, financing terms, and ultimately the project viability. So, understanding the developer's insight means appreciating how critical these factors are working together to keep projects on track and successful. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways about land use controls and what they mean for development decisions. First, land use controls determine what can be built, where it can go, and how big projects can be. It's not just about rules. These controls help protect community goals while guiding private investment in a way that benefits everyone. Second, the process of approvals, timing, and making sure projects comply with regulations can have a big impact on costs and whether a project is even feasible. Understanding this helps developers plan better and avoid surprises. Third, successful development finds a balance between property rights, regulations, and long-term sustainability. This alignment is essential to create projects that work today and are viable for the future. Finally, the most effective developments work with the rules rather than trying to get around them. Respecting the land use framework leads to smoother projects and stronger communities overall. Keep these points in mind as key guides in navigating development decisions.